So for those of you who saw the Downward Spiral live stream I did, you'll see that there was a few charity milestones based on collected donations, and this is the second milestone reward, quote unquote, which I promised to do a little guitar tutorial. Now, the only thing I can really teach at this point is the pentatonic scale, if that, because that seems to be what I use to muck around in most of the time when I play guitar. It's something that I learned before I learned the kind of context of the wider scales that it sits in. So be prepared for one of the jankiest guitar tutorials you'll probably ever see. Now, a few basics if you're completely unfamiliar with the guitar. Just talking about the notes, which you could play in the open string, so without anything on the frets. Now, for some reason, this is the bottom, and then this is... No, hang on, this is the bottom, that's the top. It works... The top to bottom works fine on the actual looking at guitar, but if you look at a tab, it's the other way up, as you'll probably see throughout the video. Oh, I should also say I can't read music, I go by tablature. But going from this top string to the bottom string, talking about the open notes, if you're unfamiliar, is E, A, D, G, B, E. So going from top, see if we could do, might be able to do a bit easier up here. That's E, A, D, G, B, E. I don't think I made a mistake there. I only do one take. Now, if you forget which order these go in, from the top of the guitar as you see it to the bottom of the guitar as you see it, just remember the acronym, elephants are doing great big excretions. That's not an official acronym, that's just one I clearly came up with. Now, the pentatonic scale, which I'm going to show you, is a variation of your basic minor scale, and except you're missing a couple of notes. So the minor scale normally has 7 notes in it, and the pentatonic, you can imagine from the pent prefix, only has 5 notes in it. So if you imagine the first, second, third, up to 7th note of the minor scale, then this minor pentatonic scale gets rid of the 2nd note, and it gets rid of the 6th. So compared to the minor scale, you only have notes 1, 3, 4, 5, and 7. So just to give you an example, so let's say we're going from G. So let's say G is the first note, so the root. If I can remember my scales properly, the climbing up the scale up to the bottom should sound something like this. I think I messed it up there slightly. So that's a couple of octaves of the G minor scale. So I'll just go over that again, primarily for my own sake. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's 4, 5, and 6. So there's a semitone between the 2nd and 3rd, and the 5th and the 6th. So that's 7, 1st and 2nd again. That's 3rd and the 4th. That's the 5th, which is also up here, I believe. So then it's the 5th, then you go to 6th, 7th, then back to the 1st, 2nd, 3rd. I hope that made sense. Now, when we're doing the pentatonic scale, at least in this first formation, using this first formation just to demonstrate, we're going to take out the 2nd notes at each point and the 6th notes. So we hear something like 1st, jump straight to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, jump straight to the 7th, back to the 1st, jump straight to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th, back to the 1st, then all the way up to the 3rd. So what I'll do is I'll put on the screen certain shapes at each point. So let's pretend that we're only we're doing the shape that starts from the root here, and we're just keeping to these sets of notes, let's say. This will make a bit more sense as I go on with the tutorial. So you could probably kind of see the shape there, but this is the way I learned it, which is just the shape on this top E is 1, or this root fret, then you go along 3 frets. On the A, you go along 1, then 2 frets. Same with the next 2 strings. Then on the B, you go you jump 3 from this first side, then same with jumping 3 or leaving a gap of 2 on the bottom E. So again, as I say, I'll put these up on the screen. Then if you want to move everything along, you can then go along the scale by, so let's say we've gone, let's say you started here, it's not the root, but let's say you started here, gap of 1, we're jumping on 2 frets, 2 frets here, 3 frets, you see it's slightly, it's not this, it's this. Then you want to go over here, a gap of 1, but we've actually moved the right hand side down rather than the left hand side. Then up on the B, we're actually going to do a jump. We still have a gap of 1, and then transfer that up to the bottom E. So I'll put some pictures up, and I'll show. I'm not quite sure what the wording would be, but I'll put up where the sort of finger positions could be along, with the pentatonic scale. In this example, we're using G as the root, but you can, as long as you move everything over, like a semitone or a tone, then you're changing it down. So here we're playing in G, but we could do a tone down, and here's the root F, so we could go to play it in F, as an example. Now, this is what I tend to do when I improvise. I'm by no means a good improviser, but I just like mucking around on the pentatonic scale. So if we take the 2 formations that I attempted to show with the root of G, we can going up 1. You can go up another formation. I also didn't promise I've got good pick technique. I think I need to improve that. Now, what's nice, of course, is combining these together. So you get you can cover a couple of octaves, but actually you can use different strings with the same notes. That's music. And with the additional formations, which is a little difficult to see on this camera setup, is you then can, obviously once you know the other finger formations, I'll put these extra images up. Then you can essentially just have a practice of noodling along all those formations. So I first learned this formation. So once I got that nailed down, I learnt the second formation. And then, as you'll see, there's additional formations which I'll color code. And once you've learnt all those shapes, you can then start nicely moving in between together. And one last thing before I give you an example of sort of noodling about is you can, you play notes together which sit in the scale. So not quite like your standard chords, but they just use the notes together, and that just adds a little bit of say extra volume, like literally because it's louder, but like with any chords, you kind of add some nice extra notes just sort of going on all together. That's chords. So then I can move along into another formation like that, as an example. I mean, this is probably more of a description of what I like doing more than a proper tutorial, but I do hope this helps you if you want to get started on guitar and want to just start noodling and not sure where to go from it. So here's a quick example of something you can do, and hopefully this will sort of display the kind of movement up and down the guitar, still keeping in the scale, and kind of gives you an idea of the variance, and see if you like anything that I tend to produce here. Anyway, I hope this helps you, as I say, with your guitar practice, and maybe I'll do some more of these.